Okay, so this is going to be week three, the graphing your name in Desmos tutorial part one. So first thing I'm going to do is click on this link right here, which brings me to the Desmos graphing calculator. Like I said in the introduction video, the first thing you need to do is title your graph. So I'm going to title mine with my name, and you should too, and then save it. Okay, so every time you complete something or you want to save your work, this save button will highlight as green. Once you do something, save it every single time. So I'm not going to save it yet because I don't really want that line in my graph. But so the first thing I'm going to do is kind of think about where do I want my name kind of placed on this graph. Do I want to start it because mine's with an A? So do I want to start it so like half the A is on the negative side and half the A is on the positive side? Maybe I want to just start it from here and go on from there. And that's what I'll do in this video. My other graph over here, if you can see, this is kind of the finished product. I started the A on the y-intercept. So in this one, I'll do it a little differently. All right, now bear with me. This is gonna be kind of a long video. There's gonna be multiple parts, and I'm probably gonna make some mistakes because it's kind of hard, but it's not too hard. So just kind of follow along. You can try on your own, kind of as I'm going through. Now, you just gonna kind of have to see how your name is gonna be written out, and you need to make sure that you use straight lines. So for like the D in my name, I can't use a curved line because um, we don't really know how to draw the curved part in a D. So it's all gonna be straight lines. So anyways, let's get started. So now my first line I'm gonna use, I'm just gonna be kind of messing around a little bit. Um, I want my A to kind of start right here at 0, 0, and I want it to kind of be like up in here as far as the height. Maybe go from here to like 6, and then I'll go down back here. So right now, my line right now is is not steep enough for my A. So what I want to do, I want to get it to this point right here. I want to get it to 6 comma oh 6 comma 6. Actually no, 6 comma 2. 2 comma 6. Sorry. So I wanted to get to that point right there from this point. So what I need to do is figure out what does my slope need to be from this point to that point, and we should know how to count slope by now on the graph. So right now, if I kind of zoom in, make it a little bit easier, my rise would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm gonna change my slope in a second, and then my run would be 1 and 2. So that's rise over run, 6 over 2. So 6 over 2. Also, if you want to know how to type in a fraction here, I'll redo this. All you have to do is hit the division sign and just put 6 over 2, and that gives you your rise over run. Now, you could use 6 over 2 is the same thing as 3x. So I'm going to use 6 over 2 just for your guys' benefit. So now what I'm doing is I have my line started from my A and I need it to come down back over here. And I want it to be symmetrical. So the midpoint, meaning that if my start is right here, it hits its top right there at x equals 2. I want it to be 2 over from the middle on this side. So we have 2 from the left, here's the middle, and then 2 from the right. So I want it to come down from here 2, 6 to 0, 4. So I'm plotting these points to kind of help me with my slope right now. Oops, 4, 0. Got that backwards. See, made a mistake already, but no big deal. I'm gonna get this keyboard out of the way. So 4, 0. I want this point and that point to meet up, which is gonna be it's 2, 6. And you can usually click it to hold on, but maybe not. Okay, usually you can click it and it holds on. But I want it from there to here, and now I gotta count my rise and run again. So my rise, which would be going, because I want a diagonal line going down. My rise is down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My run is 2 over. Now, something that's really cool that you can do in this this graphing calculator is you click on this cog, like this little gear right here. There's a couple things. You can make a table. Don't do that. You don't need that this time. But this right here is duplicate. It'll literally duplicate the equation that you already have. Oh, and we forgot to put our y-intercept, which is 0. So we didn't need to put 0 because plus 0 is the same thing as nothing, but might as well include it. So what I did was I duplicated right here this line. The reason why I'm going to duplicate that line is because the line that I have coming down from here to this point is going to be the same exact line, except it's going to have a negative slope, and I have to change the y-intercept a little bit. So it's going to have the same slope, but it's going to be negative, and then I got to figure out the y-intercept. So my rise over run was down 6 and over 2. To get my my y-intercept, I'm going to go backwards. So I'm going to go over 2 and up 6, which puts me at 12. So my y-intercept for that line that's going to come down through this point and go down through that point is going to be plus 12 using my slope of negative 6, 2. So it's going backwards, up 6 and over 2. So if I put plus 12, see, crosses at 0, 12, crosses to the point that I wanted to cross at, and it crosses through this pointed out. Now you kind of can see the A starting to form, but first of all, we don't want these lines to be continuing on forever. So this is where the restrictions come into play. Now what I want to do is I don't want this line down here, and I don't want that line up here. So that line, you can kind of click this little circle and it disappears and reappears the line. I don't want this part and I don't want that part. So got to kind of play with my domain restrictions. How I do that is I want the x values that are greater than, so right now I'm domain, which is the x values. I want the x values that are greater than 0 but less than 2 excuse me, for this line. So 0, and then I'm going to go to my keyboard over here, and you're going to use these guys right here. So less than or equal to, and then x, because I'm talking about my domain. So notice how once I put that x in there, actually once I've started putting the domain restriction, it's going to get rid of this part. That means that for any x values that are negative, the line will not appear. Excuse me. The line will not appear. So I want it to start at 0, 0. And you'll usually use the less than or equal to. Hardly will ever use this one. X, because I'm talking about domain, and then I want it, and you have to use another less than, and then I don't want it to be greater than, let's see here. I don't want it to be greater than this right here, which is 2. So I use this 2, and see, it got rid of the part that was extended that way, and rid of the part that was extended left of 0 and right of x equals 2. Now I need to close that. If you want to figure out how to enter these in, if you just hit ABC, it's these guys right here. You have to use these curly parentheses or else it won't work. So make sure you use those. Okay, now back to my normal kind of keyboard. I'm going to do the same exact thing for this line, except it's going to be a little bit different. I want something that's greater than 2, because that 2 right there in this form right here. So I want the line right here to be greater than 2, but less than 4. So I'm going to go in here, click that. So 2 will be my minimum, and then I go back to this less than or equal to x, because we're talking about domain, less than or equal to again, and then I don't want anything to be past x equals 4. So I put a positive, oops, close it on accident, positive 4, and then go right here to close parentheses. Why is it not closing parentheses? Just do it on my keyboard. So I got my A kind of starting to look like it's coming together. Now what I want is I need a line that goes across. I'm going to zoom in right here. That goes across like somewhere in here. Probably looks right there, and that looks to be about 3. So 3 across. If you want, I'm going to get rid of this point real quick. If you want a line that goes straight across horizontally, then all you're going to do is put y equals and then whatever height you want it. So 3. Now, I back up and it goes on forever. So we're going to have to use more restrictions again. But it'll give you the slider and you can kind of raise the value right here to make it go up or down. See, if you have y equals, it just tells you the height of a horizontal line. If you have x equals something, it's the it's a vertical line, but at that x value. So we don't need that just yet, but we will get to that. Now, y equals 3, and I want to put in more domain restrictions. Now, what you need to do as soon as you graph that horizontal line, you need to click on a point right there that you want it to stop at. So I want from here to there. I want from here to there. So x value 1 and x value 3. So my minimum x value will be 1. I need that to be in the parentheses. 1. Go back to these less than or equal to. If you're having trouble understanding what these mean, I can tell you or explain to you individually, but it shouldn't be too hard. You're just gonna kind of play with it, and it's just that you want your minimum, so less than, nothing less than 1, x, and then nothing, you're gonna be nothing greater than, and I think it was 3. So there, perfectly connected with my A. Now it's blue. What if you want to change the colors of these? So this clicks it on or off, but if you want to change the colors, go back to this gear, click on the color, and there you go. You have the red color. Now this style is dashed or dotted, so if you wanted that, you can leave that. Maybe I'll leave the dashed in there for the look. Okay. So also a thing you can do is you can group all of these equations into a folder. So look, folder, I'm going to call this A, and then if you click on the outside right here, not on the inside, but the outside where you have this little arrow, and you move it up, and notice how it has that line, it means it's going to be in that folder. So do that to every single one of them. And then what you can do is click that folder and they kind of disappear for a little bit. They're still here, but they kind of disappear. You don't really need to look at it anymore. Now I'm going to get started on my letter D here in a second, but I know I'm going to run out of time, so I'm going to go as quickly as possible. So new folder, D, and then I'm going to start my lines. Now I want my D over here kind of close to my A, so I'll put it right here. Now, kind of zoom in and to get some values that I can see on the graph. I want my D probably right to go up and down right here at 4.5. So what I need is a vertical, because we're going to use vertical, horizontal, and diagonal lines, no curly lines. I need a vertical line that goes up and down at 4.5. So vertical, you use x equals that value, 4.5. And then I'm going to use so this would slide it right or left, but I want it to be at 4.5. Now I need to restrict its, and actually right now we're actually restricting its range. So over here with the A, this part was its domain because we were restricting its x values. It shortened its width domain. Now range is how tall, because I want to shorten this this D that I'm going to kind of create with its range. So we have to use a different value than x. So I want it from 0 is my minimum, and then I go here less than, and now you use y, so it cut off anything that was less than 0, and then I'm going to hit less than again, and maybe I want it to probably about 2, so I hit 2. Now I'm going to start my D like that. I'm going to finish the rest in my other video. So right here I'm going to stop, and then you can continue on another video.